Thank you, Simon, for joining in this conversation with AsiaBiz today.
Hey, thank you. Well, welcome to be here. Yeah.
So what brings you to Singapore?
So we're having a partner event. So we're welcoming partners from the Asian region. And so obviously we want them to understand more about what we're doing as a company and what we can offer in terms of our products.
Right. So, Azul State of Java survey report that came earlier this year indicated that 62% of organizations are now using Java to power AI functionality, up from 50% maybe last year. So what is driving this rapid growth? I mean, obviously, yes, there's so much of AI happening all around. And why do you think enterprises are choosing Java as part of their AI strategy?
I think it's because realistically, Java's already been chosen in the past. What we're seeing is that AI is providing a new way to extract information, but it's taking the view of existing information. So what we're looking at is existing ERP systems, existing CRM systems, existing database systems. And people are already using Java because it scales so well to extract information from those systems. And what we're now seeing is that people are building AI capabilities on top of that, so you can get a different view and have more of a natural language interaction with the data.
So obviously many organizations over the past couple of years and even now, there's a lot of experimentation going on with AI. So do you think we are getting into a phase where organizations and enterprises are now ready to deploy AI at scale?
Oh, definitely, yes. We're seeing with the advances that are happening in terms of large language models and just the ability to get information from that. The AI systems are definitely far more capable now than they have been. It's incredible to see the pace of change that we have, even over the last year. And so I think that's just leading more to seeing companies looking at it and saying, yes, now is the time to use AI to get more value and find the information that they really require.
So with the rapid deployment of AI, obviously there's always the challenge of vulnerability of systems as well, right? And as more people get onto the AI kind of sort of bandwagon.
Mm-hmm.
So where does Java help in managing this vulnerability?
Right. So if we're talking about vulnerabilities, obviously Java as a platform is open source. So we have the OpenJDK project. And what we at Azul do is we work as part of what's called the OpenJDK Vulnerability Group, so that we're working with other distribution providers to ensure that we can get the maximum level of security by developing any patches that are required for vulnerabilities that are identified, and then making them available as quickly as possible to our customers so that they can ensure the maximum level of security for their system. So that's really how we're doing it with Java.
So organizations also, one of the other things from your Java survey report was about, organizations are using high performance Java platforms to reduce cloud compute costs.
Yes.
So as AI workloads increase, and obviously that increases the use of their cloud compute. So how important is infrastructure optimization in determining the success of enterprise AI initiatives?
I think it's critical, because if you talk to any CIO or CFO, their main concern is how to reduce costs, because they want to deliver these AI capabilities, but they don't want to increase the cost dramatically to deliver that, because then it becomes an ROI type of equation. So what they're looking at is, okay, so if we want to deliver more capabilities and we need more information from those Java systems, how can we do that more efficiently? And that's what we at Azul are doing, is providing a high performance runtime where we can deliver lower latency, higher throughput, which is great if you've got a performance constrained application. But also the situation where if you're running a large cluster of nodes to deliver something like a Kafka functionality, what you can do is you can use a high performance JVM like ours, and you can do more with less, which means you're provisioning smaller instances in the cloud, less instances in your cluster, and that leads to a very quick cost saving.
You've been personally involved with Java and developer communities for over 3 decades. So now in the emerging scenario where you see, AI generating its own codes and things like that, what kind of role do you see for software developers?
This is always an interesting question, isn't it? Because we are seeing much more AI being used to develop code. I'm a little skeptical of the idea of vibe coding, where you simply use a natural language prompt to generate an entire application. I think that's kind of one end of the spectrum. What I'm seeing much more as a realistic use of AI in development of software is where you're using it more as a tool. And the analogy I like to use is it's like CAD, where in the old days you would have a piece of paper and a pencil and you would draw engineering diagrams. Nobody does that anymore because they use CAD to do it much more quickly and efficiently. I think that in terms of software development, we're going to see much more use of AI as a tool. The software developers are going to understand the structure, the architecture of the application. So they're going to have a higher level view of the application. And they'll then use the AI to do the basic work of the coding, so that they'll code components and the libraries that they need using that to make themselves more efficient. So I think that's really where we're going to see the benefit of AI. So in answer to your question, I think that software developers are going to need to take more of a higher level view of the architecture and structure of an application rather than worrying about the individual lines of code.
So, as a deputy CTO of Azul, what's keeping you busy these days? I mean, what's happening within Azul? I mean, given that there's so much happening in the industry.
So, yeah, it's interesting because we're always looking at ways that we can improve the efficiency of the Java runtime. So, as I said, we provide a high performance runtime. We're also looking at ways that we can make that work more efficiently in terms of a cloud. So decoupling what's called the JIT compiler from the JVM so that we can centralize that, and that works more efficiently, enabling us to deliver more high performance code. We're looking at another project which we call Crack, which is where we can do a checkpoint on a running application and start it immediately from that same point. But I think also looking at AI specifically, we're seeing things like Mythos from Anthropic, and the idea that in the future, we're going to have to cope with much shorter times in terms of vulnerabilities being detected. So in terms of my role, it's thinking about how do we deliver that security to people in a world that's much more driven by AI.
And in terms of, high performance Java applications, so with this whole agentic AI coming into place, I mean, where more and more, there'll be probably more agents operating your systems rather than human beings. So how does that kind of change the landscape?
Yeah, it's interesting because we're using AI internally in Azul, and we're looking at AI from the point of view of developing performance improvements. So it's using that AI capability to spot patterns and use those patterns in a way which is beneficial in terms of the work that we're doing. So I think that generative AI kind of idea is going to be across so many different things. And as you say, agents running different aspects of our lives will be something that we will have to adapt to.
So do you think that increases vulnerability, or as you mentioned earlier, things like Mythos, is it going to reduce vulnerability of systems, agents coming into being?
I think that there's going to be a period of adjustment, because as AI systems are able to identify vulnerabilities in existing software, possibly more quickly, greater numbers of vulnerabilities, I think there'll be a sort of a period of adjustment where we'll use these tools to identify things and then patch them so that we can make the systems that we have more robust. And ultimately, it's going to lead to more secure systems because we'll be able to use those tools to harden all the systems that we have.
You've personally seen the evolution of Java from its early days to today's AI era. So if we were having this conversation 10 years from now, what do you think would be the most significant transition or transformation in enterprise computing that organizations may still be underestimating today?
I think we've already seen, a large shift to the cloud, and I think that's going to continue. The idea of utility-based computing is something that is just going to continue and continue. And the deployment of AI capabilities is going to be the other thing that's really going to join up with that. And I think what we're going to see is this sort of combination of things where we'll also then introduce maybe robotics as well. Because if we have the compute capabilities and the AI capabilities, to extend that into the physical world will be something that is more realistic in the future.
So lastly, the narrative around AI is today dominated by foundation models and chip makers.
Mhm.
So what are some of the less visible trends in enterprise software and developer ecosystems that you believe have an equally profound impact over the next 5 years?
I think for the developer ecosystem, which is sort of the area that I'm most familiar with, I think what we're really looking at is that change in the way that we develop software. Again, as I've already kind of described, I don't think it's going to be pure vibe coding where just anybody will go, okay, I'm going to write an application. That works great if you're doing a small application like a productivity tool that you need for your own personal use or something like that. But I think the idea that somebody's going to use a prompt to develop something like an ERP application or a CRM application is just not realistic, because the reason we have programming languages is because they're unambiguous. Natural language is ambiguous, and we need to understand that. And so we'll see that from a developer's point of view, again, they'll use it as a powerful tool to make people more productive, and that will be the real benefit of that.
Great. Fantastic, Simon, speaking with you.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Thank you.